Hello, I'm Neja. I'm a Slovenian beekeeper and I beekeep with the AZE system hive. Today I will be transferring the bees from the nuc AZE hives into the full AZE hives in my new bee house. So these are the 5 colonies that I bought, and I bought them from a Slovenian beekeeper. Here you see me put hives one on top of each other so that we have space for the full hives. This first full hive is an 11 plus 3 hive. This means that 11 frames are inserted into the hive horizontally, and then 3 frames can be added perpendicularly to the 11 frames. I got the colonies on 7 frames, and that consisted of 6 frames of brood and 1 frame of honey. The colonies that I got were very strong, and the queen was young, as it was last year's queen. Here you saw me insert a building frame. This frame is meant for them to build drone comb and to fill it with drone brood. It helps us beekeepers control the number of varroa mites in the hive, as we then later in the season remove the frame and destroy the drone brood. I put the frames with the bees on into the lower level of the hive, and then I put empty frames in the upper level of the hive. Here you can see when I finished with inserting the frames, I closed up the hive and then repeated the process on other 4 hives. You will also see me struggle a lot with positioning the frames, as they need to be positioned perfectly for the ending frame to fit perfectly onto them and close up the hive. Here is the second hive. This one is a 9 frame hive, and third hive will also be a 9 frame hive, and then the last two will be 10 frame hives. For anyone wondering, I inserted the frames in the same order as I brought them in. That's for the reason of not disturbing the nest and the queen. Here I flip the frame around because bees don't like to have any food on the front side of the hive, so they will be transferring all the food to the back side of the hive, and that will give them something to do and to not swarm. You can see here that some frames have wax foundations and some do not. The reason for that is that the frames with the wax foundations go on the top level, since they will be spun out when they will be filled with honey. The frames that don't have a wax foundation in go on the bottom level in the brood nest, and that gives bees something to work on and again not think about swarming. You can see here that we put the remaining of the wood from the corn drying stall that we took that from to use as a bottom support for the hives. But later we changed that and put down the solid wood planks instead of these boards. You will see that towards the end of the transferring process, I use much more smoke than I did in the beginning, and that's because the bees were getting agitated as the time went on. you can see that the last hive, didn't fit into the space next to the fourth hive, and that's because the floor and the whole bee house hangs into the center of this part of the bee house, and that's because the bottom beam is not supported enough. And then we fix that with additional support of the bottom beam, and when we did that, we could fit the fifth hive next to the fourth hive. And you will see that in the last clip of this video. Here you can see the bees working on a nice, sunny, warm day, and you can see how busy it is in front of the bee house. You can also see the wood planks that I talked about earlier and the other hives that I put on the other side of the bee house. So this is it for this video. You can see more of my videos on the left side, and you can also subscribe on the right side.